last time I showed you a little bit demonstration Photoshop. I showed you a little bit how layers work. Every time you bring a new let's say a new document or object to the new file, you notice that you have a new layer in Photoshop, like that poster you guys worked on for your lesson. And when you add type in Photoshop, you notice that you also have a new layer for the type. Now, since you guys are already pros with Photoshop and can do Illustrator as well, we're gonna start working on our first, design project. I know we already did the symmetrical, asymmetrical, which was the balance assignment, but this one is the first one that you're creating a layout. Okay, so we're gonna be introducing you the new project today. And if you go here to Blackboard, you have all the files here under assignments. So I'm just going to show you what it is. So assignment 1, you have here the CDK's guidelines. That's our first project. And then we have 2 templates here that I uploaded for you. You notice that one is PSD, so it's Photoshop. The other template is Illustrator. Now, the reason why I put the two templates here, it's this one you can choose. I'll let you choose if you want to do it, design it in Photoshop or design it using Illustrator. Okay, most of these designs people use Illustrator because it's a vector program, and you don't have a problem having the type in low resolution like Photoshop. But if you feel more comfortable, you want to try using Photoshop for this one, since you just did that layer lesson, you can use the Photoshop with this, which is this PSD file here that I created for you. So you notice you have a background layer, the template here, the design layer. This is the design layer I created, so you can do your design on this layer. And this one is just the guidelines here. So when the person's going to print, they can turn off this layer, see the guidelines, and then they would just have your design. They won't have this outlines on the layer. Okay, so let's take a look here at the guidelines for our CDKs. So a CDKs is pretty much is packaging design. Can be for multimedia. Nowadays we have a lot of courses that are designed like this, tutorials. And since this is an IDD class, what we're going to be doing here for the CDKs, you can choose to do a tutorial on something. So you don't need to create a tutorial, how to do it. You're just creating the case and the label. Okay. So it can be, something that you like to do. For example, you like to, you like to surf, so you do, a tutorial on how to surf, or how to do fire knife dancing, or the art of tapa cloth, whatever it is that you're interested in. It can be learning Japanese or learning math for children, So you basically can choose this for this project as long as it's something instructional. So in these guidelines here, I have some technical tips. Some of the things that you can put on your case. If you're designing really for a client, and it's somebody that has a company, these are some of the things that you want to make sure you have on your CD. For example, the branding logos. If the company has any logo, you're gonna make sure you put the logo in there, right? third-party software, for example, requirement software. So when you get sometimes those what do you call it, the CD-ROM, this multimedia things, it give you the little software requirements there. And sometimes it comes with the icon of those software. If it's you're doing it for a client, you also need to keep in mind you need a space for the barcode that people are gonna scan on the store, right? Or this number here, ISBN numbers. So this sheet is good for you to keep. So let's say if you have a real client, you have to put all this information on your CD case. For example, here, a copyright line. If this is a course that was done by BYU Hawaii, they're gonna put this copyright Brigham Young University Hawaii and then the year. Okay. The system requirements, instructions detailing how to start the program, maybe something that you might want to include. I know that some of the students on the back cover, they kind of put the outline, what's included on that tutorial. For example, the different chapters on that DVD and things like that. So you can be creative on this one here. And here are some other technical tips here for printing. So this is if you really want to do something that for a client, send to a graphics company, you're gonna make sure you're gonna contact this company, right? You're gonna ask them what are the requirements, what type of files they want in order to print. Some graphics, they're really strict. They want a certain file format or a certain size. So the best thing will be contact them and ask them if they have requirements. Some graphics companies, they have their own templates that they will give you. Like if you want to do a brochure, they will give you the brochure template. They want to make sure everything follows the sizes and even the text that won't go over the margin, the printable margin. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about this. So if you're printing, remember the color mode that we use? We talked a little bit about this, CMYK. That's the four color process that we use for printing in a big graphics company. So we're asking here also this 5mm bleed. And that's on our template already. That's why I created that template for you, because it's your first time, so you can understand what these things are. The bleed, these outlines around the file, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. So it says here, ensure that text and any critical images are not too close to the crop line. What happens if your text is too close to the crop line? What are they going to cut? You might get cut off, right? Or if you have important information there, you might get cut off. That's why we have these safe margins on our files. And here are some of the technical terms for print output. So you're going to see 4-color process, which is the CMYK that I was talking to you about, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So the 4 inks that are used to create any color, and some of the other terms here, like crop marks, DPI, which is dots per inch. That sometimes the client or the company is going to tell you, I need this file at least at 300 DPI, so you can understand what they're talking about. Okay, let's take a look at our template here, so you can understand a little bit about these crop marks. Okay, so if you take a look at the templates, we have a front cover, we have a back cover here. So you're going to be designing both front and back, right? Now, if you're doing those jewel cases, those skinny jewel cases, they usually have what on the side? How's that called? Spine. Okay, that's the side of the jewel box. So if you put on a shelf, you can read, right, the spine. You know what it is. You don't need to take all the CDs out and look for them. So you can put your, whatever is the name of your tutorial or your course, you can put the name over here. And make sure it's, vertical type is very hard to read. So it's better to type horizontally even if it's sideways. You know, it's easier to read than typing vertically. So just keep that in mind. So we have the space here for the spine. And what is this dotted line here inside? That's a fold mark. So that's where the paper is going to fold, okay, for the spine. Now we have some dotted lines on the outside margin here. Do you guys know what that is? Let's say I'm going to do my CD cover here in red or blue. Okay, so my document line, I'm going to go to my design layer here to start doing the design. So I'm selecting the area here. You notice I selected the outside margin. And I'm going to choose the color here for my background. So let's say I want to do a blue. So I can go with the, if you want, you can do edit fill and do the foreground color, which is the color I just selected, or you can do the bucket, color bucket. You just go and click on the document with the color bucket. Okay. Okay, so why am I doing, see, why am I going with the blue all the way outside the margin here? Because this is my crop area here. See, this is where the line is going to cut after it's printed. Do you know why you take the color all the way out here?
So no white shows?
No white shows, right? Let's say they cut a little bit off the line and you have that white margin of the paper. You have the white edge around. So that's exactly why. You know, you go a little bit outside the margin with the color. So when you crop here, you won't have any of those white edges showing. And again, remember what we talked about the text. You don't want, this is the document line here, right? Or the fold line. You don't want your text to go too close to the edges here, or let's say you go with the text all the way here, because you don't want your text to be cut out. And it doesn't look professional either if you don't have space around your text. So always make sure you leave space in both sides, or top and bottom. Don't have everything cramped, you know, in space. It's better if you choose a smaller font size and make everything fit nicely with space around it, then go all the way to the edge, trying to fit, you know, the text to the space. So on my design layer here, I can start creating my things. I can start typing. Okay, of course in Photoshop you can just start select different color. Okay, so can we use photos for this project? Of course you can, right? And you can take your own photos if you want. You can, if you find something, you know, on the internet, it's kind of hard because when you put on your portfolio, sometimes you might have problems, you know, because people are gonna say, "Well, who took this photo?" "Oh, I found it on Google," you know. So if you're using just for a class project, it's usually not too much of a problem. But just keep in mind if you want to, in the future, you want to create a professional portfolio. It's nice to, to have photos that you have copyright for. I know a lot of the students, they use photos that they find, in different places. So I'm going to show you here some of the covers that student design. I think this was like something like relaxation music, so it was for a spa or something like this. Legends of Hawaii. See, this one here is more. I think that's the front. That one's not. There's some here that are a little bit too plain. Somebody that worked for the admissions department, so that he did cover for their recruiting videos. So of course, if you know somebody that needs a DVD, or if you're taking a video class and you're doing a DVD and you need to create a cover for that, you can do that as well. So sometimes the students work on a real project. Let me see if I find some other more interesting ones. Yeah, jazz. Okay, so see, sometimes the students will use only graphics. Sometimes they will have photos. This one's kind of fun. It was for, kindergarten certificate, something that free tutor. Some of the nicer ones here, let me show you these ones that I put on my website. So here are some samples here, and you can do a different format also on your CD case. Like this one here is the 3-fold. Have you seen those 3-fold cases? So this is what this one is, and it can be just a cardboard instead of having that plastic case. So this one is a 3-fold cardboard one. And have that photo there. So see, you can use just a photo on the background if you want, instead of, just plain color. This one is also very creative. And the student created all these graphics on Illustrator. I don't know if I can. Sorry. Now this one here, he did one of those color DVD cases, the ones that come with the movies. So that's the one he chose to do. And you're welcome to do that one as well. You just need to measure the box, whatever you're going to use. And then when you design that for that size. Okay. I don't know if you've seen, there are some DVD box cases that are round. You could do those ones too. So it's kind of up to you. I put that template there so just you can kind of understand how a real professional template looks like. You have the safe margins on the outside, the fold, the crop marks. And of course, even if you go online, you find different templates for different things, like different boxes, different formats. You can find those templates online. Even the program, sometimes if you open Illustrator, you open here a file. Let me show you where it is. I'm sure they have some of their own templates as well. Okay, the CD, you gotta make sure the label here, you gotta make sure you leave that center, you know that it's gonna have a hole in there. So don't put any text or things that you don't want to cut off. That's why on the template we usually have the circle here. So you make sure you don't put any important information in the middle there where it's gonna be cut off. So I'm opening here Illustrator so you can see where the templates are. So you can open a new document or you can open new document from template. So you see, right here you have banner, boxes, brochure, business cards, CD cases, CD print items, labels. So you can open one of these and see if you... So these are the templates that comes on Illustrator.
So all of this done on the Blackboard?
The templates, yeah,
Yes.
they're in Blackboard, both the Photoshop and Illustrator. Now, so let's say you guys look at all the fonts here, like you have your different fonts. If you click over here, right, and you have on the side, you have the different styles here. Let's say you look at all of this and you're trying to find a style that will match your design and you don't find anything that's interesting for you. What can you do if you don't have the style of the font you like? You can download a font. Okay, so maybe some of you already done that before, or some of you never heard about it. So I'm going to show you here a site that I usually go because it's free. You can download fonts for Mac for free, and you guys might know some different ones as well. But this one is called dafont.com. Okay, so DAFONT. And if you look over here, there are all these different categories that you can look through and choose from. Even you see the barcodes, they have different barcodes here, and they're fonts that you can download if you want to put it on the CD, on the back of your CD. But let's take a look. Let's say I'm looking for, see what kind of. Let's take a look at this Destroy. These fonts are very popular now, right? Those fonts, they're all like... And the nice thing is that you can type your text over here. So I'm going to type my text. Let's say skateboarding 101, and I'm going to submit. So it's going to show my text here, and I can see which font will look better on with my letter. Some don't change, you notice here, but so you see some are very hard to read and some are a little bit easier. So once you find the font that you like, you can just go ahead and download it. Let's go to page number 1, choose one from there. Let's say this one here, it's kind of easy to read, so I'm going to download. Okay. So notice here, the name of the font was 28 days later, and it gave me a zip file here on my desktop. See that zip file? Because I chose to open the archive, I already opened the zip file here. So I have the font. I'm going to double click on this one in order to install to my computer. So you see, I double click over here and it asks if I want to install the font. So I click on install font, and now the font is on my font book. See here the font book open on my computer? So now I have this font 28 days later on my computer. So if I go to Photoshop, let's take a look here on this is alphabetical order, so I have the number first, 28 days later, okay? So I can go and change my font. So this is how you install a font. One important thing too is that if you download fonts that are not standard on all the computers, you save this file here with your document. Okay, so if you send to let's say a printer and they don't have this font, when they open the file, what's going to happen? The computer will change. It will put whatever font they have in the computer there and change your font. Unless you save as a PDF, and then the font won't change, right? The other thing too you can do on Illustrator, if you don't want your font to change, you transform it to, let me show you here what it is. Let's see. See the font I just downloaded, you see it's here on Illustrator as well. Now look on Illustrator, what I can also do, I can change this to the type to create outlines. So once I do this create outlines, you notice my text is going to be just like a regular object. It's not going to be text anymore. So the nice thing about this is kind of a complicated font. So you see, it created all these paths for me, just as if it's an object. And if I choose the direct selection tool here, you see I can transform the font, because now it's an object. So I can distort the font and do whatever with it. See that? Because now it's an object. It's not a font anymore. So if you do that, the person on the other side, they won't have a problem opening your file and then they don't have the font, because you already converted it to an object. The only problem with this is what? You cannot go back and add it, right? Because it's not a type anymore. Type is just an object. Okay, so you cannot add it unless you go and delete the whole thing, you know, and then it's okay. Okay, some other things too. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with brushes. How many of you have used brushes before? So brushes is something similar to this font that I just showed you. So you just go online and download brushes. So I'm going to show you here another site that it's free also to download. It's called Brusheezy. It's a cheesy name. So Brusheezy. So if you go here on the brushes, you're gonna see these are all Photoshop brushes, by the way. So let's say I'm looking for this kind of graphics here. There are lines and dots. Okay, so you can click on the preview and it will show you all the different brushes that come with this set. Usually it's a set of brushes, okay? Combination of different brushes. So if you see it and say, oh yeah, I like it, this is what I wanna work with, you go and download Most of these are free as well. Okay, this one is saying unable to archive. Let's see if it, yeah, it already archived, already saved over here. So you notice for the brushes, when I download a brush, I have this brush file here on my desktop. And I also need to double click on it so it will install to my Photoshop. Now, where do I find the brush that I just downloaded? On the brush tool. Okay, so let's go find our brush tool over here. Right here, it's my brush. Usually when I work with brushes, I always create a layer just for the brush. So you can edit that layer if you want to rotate the brush or make smaller, bigger, change color. You have on a separate layer. Okay, so I go to the brush tool, and now I click over here, and I go to the scroll all the way down. The last brush I downloaded is going to be at the end here. So you see, I see the dots and lines that I just downloaded. Okay, let's move my document a little bit. So you see, you can change the size of your brush as well here. See that? Now once you have this on a separate layer, if you want to edit, you can do the same way. The Command T, remember, for transform, scale, and we'll give you the box so you can, if you want, you can rotate, you can hold shift and scale your brush. If you want to rotate, you go on the corner there. It's not letting me rotate. See, rotate. Okay. So you can rotate if you want. What else can you do here? If it's on a separate layer, I can make this brush a little bit more transparent by changing the opacity, right? Or I can even apply those blending modes that we saw on the last class. That kind of blends in with the whatever images you have in the background. Okay, so you can apply any effects to this brush. The nice thing as well, let's say if you like part of your brush but you don't like the whole thing, you can come in. Let's say I'm going to select the area I want to delete. I want to delete this whole area here. You just select that layer and delete. So you have, or you can go with the erase tool and erase part of the brush that you don't like. So if you have it on a separate layer, you have a little bit more control. Let's see the history here. Now, what about Illustrator? How do we find brushes for Illustrator? Do you guys know how they're called? Vectors. So you look for vectors. There is the same company here. They have vector brushes. It's called Vecteezy. Easy to remember. I think it's something like this. Vecteezy. So see similar things. But you just download it and it shows as an object on your Illustrator instead of a brush that you apply. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you here. This is kind of helpful if you're doing the label. If you want to put a photo on this round area here. Let me show you this. It's very helpful. And if you need to write it down, because I know sometimes it's hard to to remember all the steps. Okay, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go to my template layer. This is where I have the lines, right? And I'm gonna go with the magic wand and I'm gonna select this area here. So now I'm gonna look for a photo. Let's say I have a photo. Oops, sorry. Don't see any good photos. Let's say this one. Okay. So I'm gonna just download this photo here to show you. I'm gonna download to my desktop.
How you select that one? The template.
The template, you click on the template layer here, see? That's the layer where I have the lines.
Okay.
So if you click there, you hold the magic wand and it will select just that area there. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna open that photo that I just downloaded to my desktop. Where is it? I don't see it. Okay, right here. So I'm gonna open the photo in Photoshop as well. So let's say I'm gonna select here the area that I wanna put on the CD cover. Say I just want this area here on the label. Now I'm gonna do edit, copy, right? And now I'm gonna go to my template and I'm gonna do, make sure it's selected first, right? Edit. Now, instead of doing just paste, we're gonna do this one, paste special. I want to paste into, so it's gonna paste into this area. Look at what it's gonna do here, paste into. It will fit this area here, but I can also move my photo, look at that. And let's say I wanna make it a little smaller. I'm gonna do here, Command T for transform. And I can still change the size of my image. And then I can rotate and see how it will fit the label better. Okay, so the key here, you have to remember, instead of just paste, you do paste into. So we will paste and let you do the edit. Okay, so we'll paste into this area here. Is that clear? Do you guys?
Is that the same thing with Illustrator?
Illustrator, it's a little bit different. You can just say, Illustrator, I don't think you have that paste into option. Paste in front, paste. Maybe it's a paste in place. So if I go back here, let's say I selected, and I just do edit paste. See, this is what happened here. It's not gonna paste into the selected area. So sometimes the students say, how to do that again? I forget. It's not going inside the CD cover. So it's paste into. Okay, and of course you can do that on a rectangular object the same way. It's the same thing. Now, any questions on these things that we talked about? Brushes, fonts. Now, I wanted to be very creative on this one here. So remember, your fonts, your graphics, whatever you use, your images, they have to be strong and they have to match the overall design that you're trying to create. So if you're going for, let's say, a chemistry DVD, you're going to think about something that will match, that particular subject or whatever it is that you're creating. So try to be very creative on this one and choose the fonts well, everything, so it will look professional at the end. Some of these ones that I showed you, they were on the website. They were very, very creative ones that you can probably, something that you can probably see selling, on a bookstore because it's professional, and yet these were designed by the students. So you can be very creative on this one here. Yes, go ahead.
So this project, do you have to use Illustrator and Photoshop?
You can use either one. You can choose. Yeah, I know some people use the two, so you do all the image, the Photoshop work in Photoshop on your photographs, and then you can just drag the photo to Illustrator and do your text on Illustrator. So depends on. I know some people they're very used to using Photoshop and they want to try doing Photoshop, But if you want to try on Illustrator, go ahead. That's why I put the Illustrator template as well. This is your Illustrator template right here with the AI. So you have both in Blackboard. You can choose which one you want to do. So if you look over here, the Illustrator is just one layer. So if you want to create more layers and start doing your design on a new layer, you can do that as well. So again, if you want to do a cover in a different format, if you want to do those long DVD covers, that's fine. The template is mostly like a guide for you.